Hey everyone, Carrie here with evening thoughts for February 6th, 2023. So, I'm finishing up Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And I have it on audiobook, and I gotta say I love the book. I think I have like maybe 15 minutes left of it. And anyways, Rick is amazing, and his voice, it actually, like, how one keeps the same tone of voice inflection through a whole reading of a book. I don't know how he does it. Like, it's like listening to a singing bowl. Anyways, he has a lovely voice, and it's a great book. It's a great book. It really speaks to the heart of creativity. So, his book got me thinking about a couple of run-ins that I've had with the Dalai Lama in the past, which I feel pretty grateful to have. And it got me thinking about Oscar Wilde. And anyway, so these are just like random thoughts that I just wanted to share. And I don't know, like maybe they'll help you all out with like creative endeavors. But a story is a story, and I love telling stories, so here we are. So Oscar Wilde, Rick talks about in the book, but one of the things that prompted my memory, just seeing the name, is Oscar Wilde once said, "I'm not young enough to know everything." And I thought, yeah, he's right. Like, it brought me back to that picture of me with my like little grocery cart being 2 years old, thinking that I knew everything, and there's a picture of me and I am like, I know it. I know everything in the world. I don't need parents. I don't need anyone to change my diaper. I don't need mom, dad to buy me food. I got this. I'm living my own life. And yeah, that's not true. Like, when you're 2, like, you need somebody. So anyways, it's something that like you don't really see until you're older, that like when you were younger you kind of thought that you knew everything, but it's also like this survival mechanism, right? And this got me to thinking about when I was a little kid. My mom took us to hike over at Mount Rainier, and my siblings were like running ahead. We were like running along the path. We always did this when we were kids. We'd just like run ahead, and our mom would follow behind. I think a lot of kids do that. And one of my siblings accidentally like ran into the Dalai Lama. Like she was just running fast. And the security guards were like, "Oh my God." And he was very kind. Like, I still remember like the kindness. And then later on in college, he came back to Washington and he did a talk. And I thought like, oh, I gotta go and see him. Like, he's like this guy who like, he just must know everything, right? And the Speaker of the House asked him a question, and the Dalai Lama like kind of like laughed, and he was like, I don't know. And in that moment, I was like, the Dalai Lama doesn't know. He doesn't know everything. And it was one of those like moments of like, all right, I don't have to know everything. Like, I thought like there's like this like weird part of us, like as we're growing, where we're like, I gotta know everything. But a key part of creativity is just accepting that you don't know everything and setting the bar like super low and figuring it out as you go on. And it reminds me of like when I'm writing down my dreams in the morning for lucid dreaming. I try to not worry about remembering everything, because it's kind of hard like to remember everything. But as long as like you wake up and you don't start getting all these external inputs, you can usually get yourself to like write down like a couple of things, and then like more things that you were dreaming will start to come out as you're writing with practice. So it's just like trusting that start, and just knowing that like whatever is going to come out is going to come out. So anyways, in Rick Rubin's book, he writes, Oscar Wilde said that some things are too important to be taken seriously. Art is one of those things. Setting the bar low, especially to get started, frees you to play, explore, and to test without attachment to results. It's really easy to get like, just really like, okay, I have this vision of what I want, right? Part of writing this book that I'm working on, I had the vision of like what I wanted when I started it, from a visit out to Marfa, Texas, when I was traveling and staying in like this little pink trailer in Marfa. And I lived in a travel trailer for a while after that, and then, you know, planted roots again. But there's something about the spark of inspiration and taking that and just setting the bar really low and exploring it and seeing where it's going to take you. Like it took me to developing this story that's insane. Like it's a fiction thriller. And yeah, so anyways, it's a fiction thriller, and one of the funny synchronicities is that I was listening to this book from Rick Rubin, and I like kind of started to hit the wall with my edits on this book, and I started to get like this idea of like I'm just gonna scrap it. I'm gonna move on to something else. I'm just gonna scrap it. And then I like started to think like, I've been working on this for a year. Like, what am I even thinking? And then turn on Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being. He starts talking about taking a break. I take a break. I sleep for 11 and a half hours. I wake up, do a couple of things, fall back to sleep for another 3 hours. And then I come back fresh as a daisy, get into it, and then I realize I forgot to bring a whole chapter forward in my edits, that it was like the integral chapter of the attack in the book. Some would call this bibliomancy, where like you open up to like the page of a book and you find the information that you need. I think that there's no accidents. So I'm glad, despite my edits being finished for the most part, that I'm doing this read through again, because like I could have missed this integral part of the book with this chapter and then submitted it to publishers, and these publishers would have been like, what the hell is this, right? So anyways, just like the synchronicity is kind of funny. But the other thing that I liked about Rick's book is that he talks about how like nothing's new, and how we're all just collaborating. Whether like we realize it or not, we're collaborating. We're all working off of each other's work. And one of the things that I really liked yesterday in the Grammys is that there were a lot of different flavors of people and music, like just styles, right? Like there's, like I love West Coast hip hop. East Coast hip hop's good too, I guess, but I'm like a West Coast girl. So I love West Coast hip hop, but like I'm like an old punk rocker. Like I used to have a mohawk, so like I'm like totally into like the whole rock genre too. And then I really love old country, and I love John Prine. But like I love Beyonce too, right? And then like Harry Styles has some like super catchy stuff. So I'm not one to like get like too stuck into like musical genres. I like all different kinds of music. What I really enjoyed though about the Grammys is that everyone was super supportive of each other's art and celebrating each other's art. And it's a vulnerable process. And that was like the key message that I got from it, is that everyone was really supportive of each other, because putting your stuff out there is super vulnerable. Like even with like just my blog and my vlog, it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable, like putting yourself out there for the world. And these people are like putting themselves out there for like millions of people. So, but you know, everyone has to start somewhere. So, you know, like I know for myself, and like I'm not like an accomplished like songwriter or like published writer yet, but I can say that when I don't create, I don't feel right. And I think that there's something inside of us where we don't feel right if we're not creating. And so we have to do it because we don't see any other way to live our lives without doing it. So anyways, those were just my thoughts for today. And anyways, if you like hearing what's rambling around in this brain of mine and some stories, feel free to hit subscribe and like. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.